Welcome to another video. In this lesson, we will be covering end behavior. So we will define what end behavior is and go over some examples.
Let's start by defining end behavior. End behavior defines how the graph is acting as we move to the very left and to the very right. Let's take a look at this graph, y equals x squared minus 1. To the left of this graph, the arrow is pointing upwards, so the end behavior for the left side, or as x approaches negative infinity, y approaches positive infinity. To the right side of this graph, the arrow is also pointing upwards, so the end behavior for the right side, or as x approaches positive infinity, y also approaches positive infinity. Let's look at this graph, y equals x cubed. As you can see, as x approaches negative infinity, the arrow is pointing down, meaning the left end behavior is approaching negative infinity. As x approaches positive infinity, the arrow is pointing up, meaning that the right end behavior is approaching positive infinity. Now let's look at these graphs with higher powers. As you might be able to tell, there's a trend when we want to find end behaviors. On the left two graphs, we have graphs where the highest degree terms are even. For these graphs, the arrows on the left and right are both approaching positive infinity. On the right two graphs, we have graphs where the highest degree terms are odd. For these graphs, the arrows on the left and right are different. The left arrow approaches negative infinity, while the right arrow approaches positive infinity. Now what if the graphs are negative? Let's compare the four graphs we have here. The top graphs are the positive versions, and the bottom graphs are the negative versions. As we can see, when we have the same even or odd condition, functions with the negative highest degree term has opposite end behaviors as functions with the positive highest degree term. Let's do some practice problems. Pause the video to see if you can find the end behaviors of each problem. Before we start, we just want to make it clear that the graphs on the right are not the actual graph of the functions. They represent the general end behaviors of these functions. For number 1, the highest degree term is even and positive. Matching the graph on the right, both the left and right end behaviors will approach positive infinity. Number 2, the highest degree term is odd and negative. Matching the graph on the right, the left end behavior approaches positive infinity, while the right end behavior approaches negative infinity. Number 3, the highest degree term is odd and positive. Matching the graph on the right, the left end behavior approaches negative infinity, while the right end behavior approaches positive infinity. Lastly, number 4, the highest degree term is even and negative. Matching the graph on the right, both the left and right end behaviors will approach negative infinity. That's the end of this video. If you have trouble understanding any part of this lesson, type your questions in the comment section down below.
If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to our channel or check out our other helpful videos.
Boom.